So in the Senate where we were just at, as you guys saw, there weren't a lot of people. Because of that, they actually get to filibuster. So when they're debating on a bill, they can speak for hours on end. Here, that's not the case. They only get about 10 minutes to speak. And once that's over and it's time to vote, in the Senate, they still vote in the traditional method. So with their hands, 1 finger for yes, 2 for no, 3 for present but not voting. Here, they vote electronically. I have been doing so since the 1920s. They have buttons on their desks that correspond to the 2 boards back there. And when they vote, they will turn on, and next to their last name, you'll see a green light for yes, red for no, white for present but not voting. Here, the House members are led by the Speaker of the House, which is one of the representatives who is chosen on the first day that they meet. But does anyone have any questions regarding the House chamber?
How often do they meet?
Yeah, so 5 months every other year. Yeah, so 2019 they met just like in the Senate, and they're also scheduled to come back January 2021. So they're super part-time, but during this time that they're not here, they do have other full-time jobs back home. And if the governor wants, the governor can always call them back to Austin for a special session. So they're on standby this entire year and a half that they're not here. Not anymore?
Has there ever been a Democrat majority in the House?
Oh yeah. Yeah, in the 80s. The switch from like Democrat majority to Republican majority here in the state happened in the 80s, 90s, and it was solidified in the mid-90s. Ann Richards, the most recent female woman in the early 90s, she was Democrat, and then after that, 3 governors have been Republican. Any other questions? So 2 paintings I want to point out right here. The first is because it is the oldest painting in the building. If you look directly in front of me right there, the smaller portrait of the 2 where the man is crossing his arms, that is James Bowie. He was one of the soldiers that fought at the Alamo. He was actually one of the commanders there, famous for the Bowie knife. This painting was done back in 1821. So, it's pretty old. And then in front of him, the next one over, the young man in military uniform right there is Audie Murphy. Born and raised here in Texas, he enlisted for the U.S. Army during World War II and became the most decorated World War II veteran, receiving over 40 medals and honors, including the Medal of Honor, which is the highest honor a soldier can receive for the military service here in the United States. Murphy, after World War II, came back home and actually became an actor, starred in a bunch of Western movies, and even made a movie of his own time at the war. He died in his mid-40s due to a plane crash on the way back to Hollywood. But that's Murphy right there, and we still have his movies.
After all this fighting?
Yeah, after all the fighting.
Plane crash.
Commercial.
And earned all the medals.
All right, y'all. So we are gonna move the tour downstairs to the ground floor. The ground floor is still original to the building, and then we're gonna head into the extension, which is the additional part of the Capitol that's a bit newer, completed in the early 90s. It's a 4-level building completely underground, just more office space. Yeah. All right. Anyone need the elevator to go down this time? No. All right, cool. I'm going to make it brief here. Here you can see the older composites, the ones I mentioned earlier. Little kids are here too. But I stopped here just so you guys see throughout these windows. Like I said, the ground floor is still original to the building, so this was all here in 1888. And Central Texas has a lot of rock just after a few inches of soil, so they didn't go too far deep. Years later, by the 1990s when we have better technology, that is why they went down underground instead of building another skyscraper that would overshadow the Capitol building. We are going to pass by the Medal of Honor exhibit. Do you guys want to stop by and have me point out some soldiers? Or do you just want to swing by? It's up to y'all.
You just... Yeah.
What is your tour? Okay, I'll point out a couple of soldiers. All right, follow me.
I'm making video. Yes. And I can use my better at any time.
It was created during the Civil War. So over here on this side, the earliest recipients were of the Civil War. Here we have World War II. And one of the people I want to point out on this side of the exhibit is Macario Garcia. Macario was born in Mexico, immigrated to Texas along with his family as a child, grew up in the southernmost part of Texas, and when the World War II broke out, he enlisted for the Army. His highest rank was Staff Sergeant. Survived the war, came back, was medaled and honored, and during he was here in Texas. He went to eat out with his family, and in Texas at that time there was still segregation with the Hispanic and Latino populations here in the state. And the owner of the restaurant decided to deny Macario service. Macario kind of got in an argument with him. The restaurant owner decided to call the police on Macario. Macario was arrested. They pressed charges on him, and at that time the civil rights movement in the United States was at full speed, and Macario's case was picked up by the Latino and Hispanic civil rights movement. Eventually the charges against him were dropped quietly, and it was resolved. But Macario is actually the first non-American born U.S. soldier to receive the Medal of Honor. So, yeah, that's Macario there.
First and only one question.
I think there's been several others since. For Texas, there have been a total of 91 men to receive the Medal of Honor. And they were either born here or enlisted for their service here in the state. Now, the other side has also World War II and the most recent armed conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan. We can go see them.
Diarra, quali sono i passaggi in quella posizione?
So Ali Murphy, who saw Portugal upstairs, is right here. But I want to talk about Roy Benavides, also in the U.S. Army. He fought in the Vietnam War, and during one of his patrols, his unit fell under fire, and he actually managed to save all of his federal soldiers, but he was really badly wounded in doing that, to the point where everyone thought that he was dead, including the doctor.
He's also from Mexico.
Yeah, he's Mexican. Yeah. That's why I know him. I have biases. But yeah, he was being placed in his body bag and could not move. And so the only thing he could think of to try to get the doctor's attention was to spit at the doctor's face. The doctor got the scare of his life, but realized that Roy was alive. So he treated his wounds, he recovered, and later received the Medal of Honor for a bunch of other great things that he did as well while he served in the Army. And one of the cool things about him, which is one of my favorite fun facts, is that he actually has a G.I. Joe named after him.
Yes, what?
Do you guys know the G.I. Joes?
Movie.
So the movies. Yeah. Okay, so you know the toys. There are soldiers. He actually has one of them named after him.
Resilience. Yeah, is that one of resilience? Resilience
That's
paper?
where,
Must have
and then, like I
because
said, the most recent down here are from the Middle East armed conflicts.
Hispanic.
Is there a private doctor who doesn't bear a gun? No?
No, I don't know. Alright guys, so we are going to continue now down to the extension through these doors, so follow me.
It's no snap.
de Indonesia.
Brazil, Japanese.
So you guys scoot over a bit so that everyone can get a view of the Capitol there. Alright. So like I mentioned earlier, this is completely underground. We're about 20 feet, almost 7 meters under. And this is a four-level building with the first 2 levels having office space. There are more offices for the senators and representatives. Some do have their offices up in the original building. But we also have committee hearing rooms down here, an auditorium, gift shop, restaurant, and there are even tunnels that employees can use to get from the Capitol to other state buildings around. The bottom 2 floors that we cannot see are all just a parking garage. Now the extension was completed back in 1993. It expands to the east and west and to the north all the way to 15th Street, and it is so large that it's 2 times bigger than the original building. When you add all of it together, it's more than 1 million square feet, making it the largest state capitol in the country. The only capitol that is larger is the national capitol in Washington, D.C., but this one is taller. It's Texas. As you look up at the Capitol, you'll notice 2 things. First, its unique color. It's the same rock that we have down here in the extension. It's like a pinkish brown, and it is called Sunset Red Texas Granite. Pretty poetic name. It all comes from Marble Falls, which is about an hour drive west of here. And the reason is because they only wanted to use Texas materials for the Capitol. The other thing is the statue at the very top, and that is the Goddess of Liberty. The original goddess was brought down in the 80s, and she's now on display at the Bullock State History Museum, just a few blocks north of here. And she was brought down because she had started to deteriorate due to the weather. She's made of zinc, a softer metal, weighs around 2,000 pounds, or a ton, and is 15 feet 7 inches tall, a little bit over 5 meters, or about the size of this column right here. The statue that you're seeing up there today is an aluminum cast of the original, weighs 1,000 pounds, or about half a ton, and in her right hand, if you look closely enough, you'll see she's holding out a sword. This sword represents strength and freedom, and in her left hand, she's holding out a star representing the state of Texas.
The Lone Star.
Another star, yeah, the Lone Star. Any questions for me before I end the tour? No? All right. So for those of you guys that want to do some gift shopping, you guys will have some time to do that. We also have restrooms down here, so if you're in need of that, we have some right over here on this side, as well as this side, so you guys can divide up if you want. And then that's it. I'll stick around for a little bit if you have any questions. But thank you all so much, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of Class 70, United States Surgeons Majors Academy, I'm privileged to give you the coin of International Military Students Office, and thank you for your time and the information you provided. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks, guys. Any questions?
Thank you.
So if you guys want to just walk around, there's a gift shop right there, and we're just waiting for the second group to link up with us. Okay?